Hello and welcome to episode 277 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
Just can you subscribe to the YouTube channel? Because I want to get to 2,000 subscribers. That's all I'm going to say this week. Everyone knows where we are. And I find on my own channel, if you ask people to subscribe, you actually do get quite a lot of subscribers. So who knew? So please do that.
Dan, would you like to ask everyone to subscribe?
No, we're probably going to lose some now, aren't we?
It's going down.
Yeah, subscribe.
Jack Williams is here.
I'll subscribe after this, I promise.
You're not even subscribed.
I don't know.
Harry, Wolves 1, Manchester City 2. Heartbreaking late defeat. Gary O'Neill quite candid about taking responsibility from that late goal from John Stones. Bit more of a positive performance, certainly. We're all thinking it's going to be a cricket score. It wasn't in the end, but it's the same result as usual. It's another loss at home for Wolves.
That was for Harry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if his internet
That's an internet guy. He seems to have muted himself, but
okay, he's gone. Baelish, would you like to answer that question, Dan?
Yeah, it is another loss in sort of heartbreaking-ish circumstances. I thought we didn't play too badly. I mean, a lot of the game without the ball, but I thought the lads in the middle played really well and tried to be aggressive and take the, get in at City. We made some fantastic tackles. I thought Gomez was superb. He won the ball all over the shop. And we're going to get on to the argument around their winning goal. But I thought we were good value for a point. And it's just a shame that what happened.
Obviously, we're going to get on to the main talking point of the game, which was obviously the goal. But we're going to have some little nuggets, a bit like the biscuit you get with your coffee. No one asked for it, but you're quite happy to eat it. Jack, Jose Sarr, coming into the side of Sam Johnston, made 3 or 4 incredible saves, almost did look back to his best and, what we know and love of him.
Yeah, really professional performance from him. But I think the first thing that we really, really need to call out is that we went to a back 5, didn't we?
Yeah.
And everything that we saw against Brentford, which was just a disaster, if we just set up in any sort of similar way to that against Man City, then it would have been that cricket score that you were talking about just. So it's nice to see that we finally changed it. And, the plan very, very nearly worked. I agree. I think we played well. Obviously we had to soak up pressure at certain points and take our chances when we did, which, we did with the goal. You can't argue with the fact that it was a great bit of counter play, great ball from Semedo for the goal. And we'd have to ride our luck a little bit. Jose Sarr, yeah, I agree. Because said before, God knows what's been going through his head with what's happened. Obviously, shake is an understatement to start the season from him when he was first choice. We bring in Sam Johnson then, and he seems to be pushed to the side. And then he does exactly what you should do, really, when you get your chance and come back in. Is he pulled off some absolute worldies, and we know he can do that because he is a good shot stopper. But it's other parts of his game in the past, particularly like his kicking and stuff. And every now and then he just has a mad moment, doesn't he? And his head seems to go a little bit. But that's exactly what you need to do when you're on the fringes, and fair play to him, because he got man of the match, I think, from the Sky people. And I always think it's funny when they give that out in the 90th minute, because you just know what's going to happen when they give man of the match to a goalkeeper, and it's exactly what did happen. So, but overall, I know what we're going to talk about because it's the only thing we have to talk about, and it's their winning goal and VAR and inconsistency. But I was pleasantly surprised with the performance, and I think everyone, the players who came in did well, really. And I'm thinking the likes of Santi Bueno, Jose Sarr,
Santi Bueno, because he set up the goal. It started with him. Yeah,
exactly. And they've come in and they've done their job, and I know it's one of those, but I was watching it, and you can't help but watch the clock, and it ticked over to 93, and you just think usually you think, okay, I think we're going to be all right here, but I was still thinking, now they're going to score. They're going to score even when it's gone past 93. They're going to score, and what happened. But I think before we get into the nitty gritty of everything, I know we got no points again. We haven't got a win yet. But I think they played well, and at least Gary O'Neill reacted in some way. And, similar thing to what I've said all season, I think we make a few substitutions and we just look a bit weaker. But some of the players in key positions, they don't seem to be able to, see the 90 minutes out. So it's a bit of a trouble about squad depth as well. So we'll start with that. Now let's talk about their winning goal. And I'll hand over to someone else.
It was one of those where, they were absolutely hammering us with corners and you're just thinking, oh my God, one of these. And, Grealish was taking them from the left-hand side, no luck. And you're thinking, fine, okay. And then Foden obviously gets a chance to bend one in from the far side. And you know what, Dan, it confused a lot of people, including everybody, I think, watching it, because no one really knew what happened. And it wasn't until we're looking afterwards, almost at the highlights, and going that the VAR was checking the offside goal, and that's what was being overturned. Because as soon as he ran over to the monitor, I thought the goal had been given, and he's run over to the monitor. So I'm going absolutely berserk because he's gone over to the monitor, and then in my eyes hadn't changed his mind. So what did you think when you saw that? Did you think that's just a bit of bad luck? Do you think it's the right decision? Because Bernardo Silva is pushing against Jose Sarr up until the point that it basically hits John Stones' head.
So I think it's twofold. For me personally, that's a goal, right? That's just how you play sport. Yeah, you might be still in offside position, but good header. The bloke's not really in the way. If the keeper had got to it, you'd have said great save, and he didn't. So to me, that's a goal. I've got no problem with that. The thing I have got a problem with is the inconsistency, is that it almost mirrors Kilman's goal against West Ham. And the fact that they're using the technology now to make sure, we've said this for years anyway, but it's just more evidence that they're using the technology purely to ensure the right teams get the decisions that they want them to get. And we're just going to continue to see it more and more and more. And it will just continue to push the agenda of the top few sides to make sure they're still the top few sides. I mean, we can start going down the rabbit hole with this, and we probably will at some point, but there's been lots of rumours this week about Man United's financial position and how that's been fudged. And then you hear about City's charges and how nothing's happening with that. Yet Everton get a massive point deduction. Every time you hear about VAR controversy, it's always one of the teams like us and never them. And if it is there ever once, it's all over every newspaper and outlet and clickbait going. So it's all playing into this same sort of mentality. And how I feel with football now is that it's not a particularly good sport to watch anymore. It's just crap. The joy is being sucked out of it. And I don't know whether other people are feeling the same, but I am getting less enjoyment now from watching football than I did before.
Harry, what do you reckon? I mean, you thought it was a goal, but we go back to the inconsistency argument of not even 12 months ago, Max Kilman having one chalked off.
Yeah, that was it for me. I echo what Bailey said, really. I thought it was going to get ruled out because of the Kilman one, and it was very similar. I know they were saying about him nudging Sarr doesn't count because you can't be offside from a corner or something, so he don't become live until Stones actually heads the ball. But still, there's an argument he did put Sarr off before he dived out the way. But yeah, very similar to when it was Chirawa, wasn't it? Or Chirawa was walking across the front of Fabianski. And again, I agree with Baez. I think both of them should have been a goal, but the fact that Kilman's wasn't really just made me angry of the inconsistency from VAR. But yeah, for me, it should be a goal, but they need to sort the rules out. They need just the explanation of the rules, don't they? Because it's such a grey area, that. And like Gary O'Neill said after the game, it's a subjective one where a different referee or a different VAR panel on the day, VAR panel really, because obviously the linesman gave it, which we were confused about, weren't we? I didn't know the linesman gave it, to be honest, till a few days later. And the referee obviously agreed with the linesman, but VAR got him to go over and have a look, and he went with the VAR decision. So I was really disappointed, and obviously it being so late, and I've only just jumped back in, lads. So I don't know if you've mentioned the Guedes foul.
No, I was just about to mention that, but before we go on to that foul, Jack, Gary O'Neill made comments after the game about potential unconscious bias in VAR decisions favouring bigger clubs.
It's not unconscious.
I mean, do you think, is it sour grapes from Wolves? We're always talking about, is it clear and obvious that the on-field decision is wrong? I would say probably not. But the goal obviously was allowed to stand. It's probably the right decision if you're a neutral or a Man City fan. But what do you think about his comments on unconscious bias, and how does that feed into the whole VAR and Wolves conversation, having tried to scrap it during the summer and being the only club that voted to do so?
Well, regular listeners to the pod will know that I've mentioned bias and unconscious bias in terms of our VAR decisions many times over the last few years. And it seems now that Gary O'Neill has probably secretly been thinking it for a while, but has actually come out with comments sort of similar to what the fans are thinking, really, because I don't think anybody with a straight face, I agree with everybody, by the way, I think it's a goal. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think he's out of the way by the time the ball is played forward and becomes active. So I think it's a goal. And I'm willing to take that. That's fine. So they got to the right decision in the end, I think. But at the same time, I don't think anyone with a straight face, any referee, any manager could say that's a goal and then watch a video back of Max Kilman's, who's closer to the goal when he heads it, and say, no, that one isn't a goal, though. Because, Chihuahua isn't even making contact. He's just literally walking past in no man's land, really. He's not having any role in active play. So to try and swallow both those decisions and just say, this one is definitely a goal for a winning goal for Man City, but it's not an equaliser for Wolves against West Ham.
Agree.
And I just can't help going back to it, and it happens regularly. I can't help going back to asking myself the question, if we'd scored that exact same goal against Man City in that situation and we'd won the game 2-1,
it's getting
that goal gets
time.
overturned. 100%.
Yeah,
because they will look for a reason, any reason why they can rule it out. Because I think rather than being bias, or, unconscious bias or whatever it is, I think we're at a stage now where they're just trying to protect the brand. And the brand of the Premier League, whether we like it or not, there's probably 6-7 teams in there which bring in the majority of the money and the majority of the rights around the world. And the fans watching in China and America, they want to see their big 6, big 7 team, whatever it is, win and do well. They don't want another Leicester City thing to happen because it probably wasn't good for the sport in terms of revenues. And I think that plays into their hands, really. And these are the things I really struggle with, because some of the stuff we've been asked to swallow over the years in terms of inconsistency, some of the decisions, look back to Man United, the first game of last season. 4 professional referees looked at that and said that was not a foul. Like on the goalkeeper. That's where we are with it. And the reason for that is because if you make a decision going against Man City in the last minute or Man United in the last minute, you can have Pep screaming at your door, fans and Twitter screaming at your door 100 times more than you are if you make a decision against Wolves. And I think that plays into it. And it's a lot of the time it's referees not having the bottle to be able to do it. And I think that does fall into the realms of unconscious bias. The other one, and going back to what you guys were just calling out and was mentioned in the comments. So the foul, basically the top of the Man City's box, or the potential foul, watched it in real time, the one on Guedes. I was like, that's definitely a foul. I think that could win us the game, that could, because we'll waste a minute to take it. And immediately I thought foul, but the ref, didn't give it. I haven't watched it back, so I'm not 100% sure. But I also think if that's a Man City player breaking forward in the last minute of the game, that foul gets given. Yeah, 100%. And
Sam,
those are 2 potential game-changing moments there.
Jack, another example. Remember on that free kick when Gomez was tussling with Kovacic, was it? Tussling, 50-50.
50-50.
Gomez gets booked.
Yeah.
And not the City player. It's ridiculous.
It is crazy.
Can I look at it from a glass half full, rose-tinted specs perspective? Because we're being sceptical, and I think we've got every right to be. Obviously, anyone listening knows that any Wolves fan's got the right to be very sceptical about it all. Are we at the phase of VAR within the sport of it still doesn't know how to work properly? It's still going through its learning phase. So
5 years.
Long learning phase.
5 years.
If you look at a lot of sports that have brought it in, they struggled. Like, I'll go back to a different example, but rugby for a long time, in those first few years, they had the TMO, the video assistant referee thing in that sport. They were cancelling out a lot of tries and they were going back too far and making silly mistakes, and people were questioning it. And it was purely just because they weren't using the technology very well. And this is an open question. I actually think the opposite, but are we at the point where the technology is probably there and it can be right, but we've got people that don't know how to use it correctly yet?
Probably that. But what gets me, Bayless, you don't hear any championship managers or fans or people who watch it a lot wanting VAR in that league. So that tells you everything you need to know for me. Because if it was that good, all the leagues would want it, wouldn't they?
I don't think it will ever work fairly while there are still humans in charge of it. I think it would need to be completely automated and then some sort of computer system that just instantly can apply the laws of the game to the best of its knowledge and then do that, because this is always going to happen, that there's going to be decisions. I mean, again, just go back and look at it. They're asking us to believe that that goal at the weekend, the winning goal, should stand and Kilman's should be ruled out. That's what they're asking us to sit there and believe. It's not.
Jack, that's a big thing as well. Us as Wolves fans, we see it so much more negatively as well because of the experience we've had with it.
Yeah.
We are by far the team that has had so many go against us, like by a mile. And that does cloud our judgment a lot, to be fair.
What number podcast must this be where all we've done is talk about a fucking video screen rather than the actual game of football?
Well, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, we talk about VAR and it's been, referees, assistant referees, whatever, been talking point and have generated debate over about, 130 years. And now we're in a position where 5 years after bringing in some technology, Jack is sat there saying, I don't think it's going to be okay until it's fully automated. I mean, how has it fallen that badly that we're even thinking about thinking like that?
I mean, just remember also the one time that we really needed it, they said the camera stopped working.
That's true.
Against Liverpool away.
That's
actually happened to us. That is actually that's how ridiculous it is. And
Villa.
It's not. It can't be a coincidence anymore. It's a trend. Like Villa was different because that was goal line technology, wasn't it? But yeah, still messed up at a key moment. But
look at the ripple effect of that Villa goal as well. By the way.
Yeah. It's overshadowed us as well. Like we would have been talking today about how good the back five was and things like that. And like you say, if Guedes foul gets given, we draw 1-1 with the champions.
We've been buzzing.
We're singing and we're buzzing about being back in a back five, and things are starting to look up again. Although I do believe O'Neill should have gone, at least he has changed it up. I don't know if you mentioned that at the beginning while I was away. But
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, how long have we been saying that, lads? Since the Newcastle game? Although we did get told on Twitter to stop podcasting when we suggested it. So. But now O'Neill's done it. He had no choice to do. His hands were tied. But
well, no, exactly. And Santi Bueno came in and did a very good
brilliant.
job. But Graham made a couple of points here. Last season, we collected 11 points from the corresponding fixtures that we've already had last year. This year, only 1 point gained. So can we get 37 points from the 90 on offer? That's the question, because that is what it boils down to.
Well, Paul Harris, actually, 824, has made a very good point.
Just read it out then.
Yeah, you're allowed to read it.
I thought Sam would like reading them out.
I really like reading it out. I look forward to this all week. I'm
trying to now. Our position has nothing to do with VAR. After Brighton, we'll need around 11 wins out of 29 games. No team's ever had such a turnaround. That's what's starting to get to me.
Before he switched to a back five, I would have said no. But now I believe we play like that, even against Brighton. I know we're going to get onto it. I've got a much more hope of us getting something away at Brighton than I did when we was playing a back four. It's all we've needed. I know. Like we're very much bare in the centre half position, but Semedo and Ait Nouri were like different players playing in a back five. They're wing backs. They were brilliant. Semedo played out his skin, I thought. Against
that cross the goal was incredible.
Cross the goal was super.
He nearly scored. He went through one-on-one.
He's one-on-one, and by the way, how frustrating was that?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's not. That's not his bread and butter, is it? But you just knew he weren't going to score when he went through, did you? And we counter-attacked really well. Cunha had that one, didn't he, where he bent it around the post? You mentioned the Semedo one. Thought Forbes looked quite threatening when he come on.
Yeah, Forbes came out. Tommy Doyle put him, sent him through, and this sort of leads me on to the next point about something that Gary O'Neill said post-match. Because Forbes, I think he's a great player, been bigging him up since he joined, but put that cross across the box, and Larsen didn't get there for whatever reason, and you think, okay, fair enough, it's probably just behind him. But Gary O'Neill's come out today and said that Strand Larsen needs to be getting 85, 90 minutes, full matches under his belt, rather than being absolutely knackered at 60, 65 minutes. And he sort of said it earlier, didn't he, Harry? That, I'm getting a bit of stick about, taking strikers off, but he's not getting anywhere near the amount of game time out of Strand Larsen as he should be. And you just think, actually, if he was maybe a little bit fitter and making those bursting runs into the box that late on in the game, that can make a massive difference.
I found that really bizarre, him coming out with that, by the way. I think he's doing that because he's been criticised so much about his substitutions. He's just looking for someone to blame. Because he's brought Hwang on a few times for Strand Larsen. I remember away at Villa was the worst one, the 3-1 loss. That was a terrible move. But maybe that is the case. But for me, that felt like just throwing one of your players under the bus for not much reason.
One of our players who I think has had a lot of pressure put on him since coming in has done really well. Like, to be fair to him, Strand Larsen, I've been impressed with him. And, he's also a big lad. He's got to move about quite a lot. He offers us something different. And, maybe you're never going to get 85 minutes of, darting last ditch runs into the box with him. But, I've been pleased with him overall. And as we said in the past, and I said earlier, I think there is a theme now of we just don't look as good when we bring the subs on a lot of the time. It seems to mess us up a little bit. And particularly, calling out Hwang, there's definitely it's like a different player from last season, isn't it? But we've seen that before with him. He's very spelly, isn't he? He changes quite quickly.
He made a bit of a comment about Andre as well, didn't he? I thought Andre was okay, to be fair, but he said that Andre was tactically not doing what he asked. That's why he brought Tommy Doyle on, but I couldn't see that. I thought Andre was quite good.
He was probably not doing what he was told, and that's why it was 1-1, not 6-0.
But to be pulled off at half time, though, I mean, that's pretty incredible. I mean, he's been sort of one of the few good news stories over the last couple of weeks, Andre. Bit of a strange one, but you digress, I suppose. Weird Hwang getting brought into the conversation. I mean, like Jack says, he's not really one of those players that we can really rely on at the moment. It's certainly over the last 12 months. Let's look at anything in the comments.
Can I just say from the comments, Sam? I was going to bring it up. So Neil Harris, I think it was Neil White. So it's a bit of a contrast. I just thought I'd get him up for example. So Neil White's, but gone will relegate us, Harry. That is ridiculous. That's me referring to us having a back five and me thinking we can get the 37 points. And then a few comments later on Facebook. Lenny Hancock says, we're the best team to be in this position for a long time. There's no chance we're going down, basically. So we're still split. But what I will say is, if we don't pick up results in the next 3 games, if we don't pick up 2 wins, in my opinion, I think Gary O'Neill should get sacked because although we looked much better in the back 5, I think the losing mentality is so hard to shake. I think we're going to have to replace him. But now he's finally gone to the back 5. I think he should have gone, by the way. I think he should have gone the international break, but now he hasn't. He did the best thing he could have done and play a back 5. I personally would have started Tommy Doyle from the start, but that's probably the only little nitpicking thing. Obviously, Sarr was a forced move, but he was incredible, Jose Sarr, when he pulled off 3 or 4 unbelievable saves. But if we don't beat Palace and Southampton or beat Brighton and beat one of those 2, I do think he has to go then. That's just my personal opinion because the losing mentality is too much.
Can I just ask a question? Like, you said keeps mentioning the back 5, but are we all 100% sure that he's not going to go back to a back 4 against Brighton? Because I got it in my head that you think he might do. Like,
he can't. He can't go back to a back 4. And he can't drop Sarr. If he puts Johnston back in after Sarr's performance, that'd be ridiculous. Although I've criticised Sarr so much, it was a massive game for him. It was probably a game to save his Wolves career.
Credit where it's due, though.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. Best I've seen him play for it. And what was he doing? He weren't passing it around the back. He was just booting it. He weren't trying to be
the point
like
that Gary.
Brazil.
Oh, I think I've dropped. Right. I think one thing I wanted to talk about was obviously Gary O'Neill with Strand Larsen said, we didn't have that physical presence in the box and having that big guy in there, and he thought, are we going to concede a goal if we've got Strand Larsen in there? Just wondering where Sasha Kalajic is, because he's got to be an option, hasn't he, Jack? Surely
it rained on the Thursday, mate.
You can't keep just him around. He's got twiglet legs. You can't keep paying his wages just so he can come on defend a corner. He's a striker.
He's not even registered. And he ain't even registered in the squad.
Is he not? I didn't realise that.
His injury is going to be that long. I don't think they even registered him today.
Incredible.
You might have to check that. I could be wrong, but
well, look, let's
still got a long time out.
Move on to Brighton now, and there's a couple of people in the comments saying that he is going to go back to a back 4. Comment section, let us know if you agree with that. Bayliss, do you think he will go back to a back 4? And then another comment in there, I think from Paul, said, do you think it's time that Mario Lemina should be dropped? Captain should be dropped.
No, I thought he was pretty good on Sunday. He's had a few bad games, but class is permanent and all that. I mean, if he goes to a back 4, then just sack him. But
Sack him at half time, I think Jack said.
yeah, sack him half time.
If he puts out the team an hour before and he looks like he's playing a back four, I think we should just.
I'm staying in Brighton.
Like,
I'm not going to the game. I'm going to stay in the pub in Brighton if he puts
I'm
out
not going to Brighton, right? But if he plays a back four, I will run down to Brighton and slap him myself. So he better not. And in, like Lenny said, who made the choice of back five? Who made the choice to play Sarr? Well, the Sarr move was forced, wasn't it? Because allegedly Johnston was injured. But yeah, he can't. I mean, Totti still gives me kittens. He fell over on that one, didn't he? He slipped on that one bit against Man City. But I'll say again, same again. Maybe start Tommy Doyle for maybe Andre. Maybe that's harsh, I don't know. But I agree. I thought Lamina was a bit better. I thought Gomez had a decent game as well, to be fair to him. He looked a bit more lively. So, yeah, interesting.
Cunha as well. We have hardly mentioned Cunha, have we? You know,
He was all right. Come off a bit early, didn't he?
Yeah. So he seems slightly off the pace. I don't know. It's like half a second where he should be making the pass and he's not. And there were a couple of times against City where you think we've got a break on it, either of the wingers, and didn't.
It's hard though. The guy that was playing with him and scoring a few goals isn't on form and isn't getting in the side, and his other playmaker mate has gone. So he's in a bit of a tough position, Cunha. No Neto. Hwang has been, God knows, could trap cement. So
I actually think Cunha links up quite well with Strand Larsen. I think they've got quite a good understanding from the little link-ups I've seen them do. But I do agree. Obviously, he misses Neto, and Hwang Chan's just not the same human being, is he? I don't know what's happened to him. So, yeah. But he looked quite dangerous on the counter. That one, I think I mentioned it earlier, he put it just wide of the post. Was it second half? And there he's still our main man. I think Cunha and Strand Larsen have been two of our better players this season. And they've got their goals, haven't they? A few goals. So.
Brighton, of course, are in extremely good form. They are up to 5th in the Premier League, obviously, and the table you'd say is starting to take shape. They beat Newcastle last time out, beat Tottenham, got a draw against Forest, albeit with 10 men. Jack, I think you went the last time that you went to watch Wolves versus Brighton, it was 6-0. Do you think it could be the same scoreline again? And what are your hopes?
I don't think it was, because I'm pretty sure I went last season. It wasn't 6-0 then. It was the season before.
Was it not the FA Cup you went to? I can't remember.
It was
when you had a story.
It was a league game we went to where we lost 6-0.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I've been to Brighton definitely once, maybe twice since then. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
January.
Yes, and what was the question? Sorry,
can't remember.
Getting confused.
Are we getting battered?
Are we getting battered against Brighton? I mean, probably. I mean, if we put out a back four, I'll be really worried. I think we've got to just try. Particularly, I know they're a team that are 5th in the table. I know they've drawn quite a few games, but this isn't really getting any easier. It's easier than Man City, but on paper, this is still this is the last game of the terrible start we had on paper in my head. So. The comments earlier about somebody said we'd got 11 points from playing these same set of teams, and we only got 1 this time. That's a concern because, as I said before, since we've come back up, it doesn't matter who we've been playing. We've always picked up points against teams that you'd unexpect us to, and then go and give 6 points to bloody Huddersfield, whoever it is who's in the Premier League that season. So I'm concerned about the fact that there's so much pressure on these games that are going to come up now, particularly into November. This is our last chance to try and take a bit of pressure on us. But if I'm honest, on paper, I don't think we're going to win. Let's be honest. We're on such a losing streak. Brighton are a good team. That I'm worried about it, but I do think we can put up a fight, because we put up a fight against. That's the frustrating thing about this season is, in pretty much every game, really, even at least for spells, we've been the better team, or looked like we should be scoring more goals and getting something out of the game at some point, and we've just fallen short in whether it be the last half hour or the last header of the game, as was the case on Sunday. So it would be good to get something, but I'll be honest, on paper, I can't see it, and I think our season is going to start with the game after this one. But there's just so much pressure then.
Harry, it's a pretty worrying gap that's opened up between us and Everton, really. So 7 points between us and Everton, who are in 16th, Ipswich in 17th on 4. And you just think, actually, over the next couple of games, you've got obviously the Southampton game in there, got Everton in there, and Palace. There's a little bit of a thing in the comments saying that he's bought himself another 3 games with this better performance against City. do you think that he will make that 3 games? And we've obviously talked about how important the November schedule is for us, but it's becoming more and more important all the time, isn't it? Because you look at the November fixtures, I'll go through them again: Palace at home, Southampton at home, Fulham away, and Bournemouth at home.
Yeah, again, I think he should have got sacked, but yes, he will have this November to try and save his Wolves career and try and get some wins. I'm going to shock you all, though. I'm going to really shock you. I think we're going to beat Brighton. I really do. I've just got a weird feeling because we're going to play the back 5 if he does. And if we defend like we did against City, I think we'll nick a win. And I've got a few reasons why. They got absolutely battered against Newcastle the weekend, but won 1-0. They literally scored 1 goal, got battered. I watched them against Forest. They drew 2-2 and Forest were down to 10 men for a lot of the game. But obviously they've had a really good start to the season, don't get me wrong. But a few of their performances I've watched, and for some reason I've watched a few of their games, they're not as impressive as you think. This might come back to bite me, but I genuinely think we're going to shock everyone. I think we're going to get a win. I'll click this up after when it happens. I did the same. I did the same before Spurs last year, remember? No. When we played Spurs away last year, we beat them 2-1. I had the exact same feeling. I think we're going to beat Brighton on Saturday.
But Harry, what I was saying is you had the same feeling. You said we were going to batter Brentford a few weeks ago. What happened there?
No, forget about that, Jack. Don't bring that up.
This is the man that called the podcast before the Liverpool game, "Why Wolves will beat Liverpool." Harry says he hasn't drunk for a month, but I'm starting to not believe that's the case.
I haven't.
No, I'm pretty sure.
No alcohol, so you can't blame this on the drink. This prediction. I'm stone cold sober. I'm not drunk.
Incredible.
I've got a feeling Harry will be cracking open that bottle of whiskey when it's 3:15 on Saturday. Wolves are playing a back 4.
If Brighton beat us 5-0, I won't be on the podcast next week.
Dear. But yeah, so the comment from Paul says it's already down to 4 teams, and it sort of reflects what I said then. And you look at the bottom 4, and it's Ipswich, Palace, Southampton, Wolves, and you just got to think, Bayliss, are we better than all of those 3?
No. We've got to hope and pray something disastrous happens to at least one team. We're in a mess. I know there's a lot of football still to be played, but I just can't see us picking up 1.5 points a game. So it's going to need 3 other teams to have terrible seasons. I mean, some bookies have paid out Everton.
A poor season.
Yeah, Palace
the Glasner effect is clearly wearing off.
Yeah, they are, but like Everton, some bookies had already paid out on them going down. Now they've won a load of games. So they're going to have another massive turn. I think one of the promoted sides is going to struggle a lot, as well as Ipswich. And Southampton, obviously. But it's going to be damn tight. And it's going to be like 34 points keeps you up or something stupid.
Do you think we'll beat Brighton by this?
I am going down there for a lovely day by the seaside and some fish and chips and then a couple of ales.
You think we'll lose?
I think we're going to get battered.
By what scoreline, Dan?
Cod and chips.
Right. Good. Jack? I'll have a lasagna.
We've seen it all before this season, wouldn't it? I reckon it'll be 2-1 Brighton. We'll be 1-0 up and then we'll just fall apart at some point.
Harry, hit us with a score prediction.
It's going to be a late 2-0 win. We're going to get 2 late goals. Yeah, first clean sheet, 2 late goals. You know, we've only failed to score against Arsenal in the league this season. We've scored in every other game.
That's brilliant. It doesn't mean anything when you're picking the ball out your net 6 times, isn't it?
I'm either right. I'm either going to be the happiest bloke in the world after the game Saturday, or you're just never going to hear from me for about 3 weeks.
It's just, it's getting clips up. A load of Brighton fans will find Harry talking about it.
No, they won't. They ain't got any fans of it.
No, exactly. They got no fans of it. I don't care. Let's get some betting odds from Bayliss.
Yeah, all over the shop. Before I do that, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see.
I like that comment. Sorry, from Lenny. We survived a manager walking out 6 days before the start of the season. Come on, lads. We're Wolves. We do it the hard way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
sorry, Dan. Carry on.
Fair point. No, it's all right. If you're watching on YouTube, you can obviously see it strapped across my upper lip. But I currently look like, for the older listeners, a twat. Yes, but General Sir Anthony Cecil Hogmanay Melchett from Blackadder with the old tash. We put the link out.
Name,
that is actually his full name. I could look.
Incredible knowledge.
I've put the link on a couple of times. I'll put it on again. But we've got like 150 quid in the pot already for me to look like a knob. So I'm going to keep it going until we win.
Well, usually we don't have to pay, but on this occasion it's for charity.
So before you give your money to the bookies, give some money to there's a couple of different men's mental health charities and prostate cancer research. So please do have a look.
Will you send me the link, please, Dan? Because I haven't got it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'll put it in our WhatsApp group.
Cheers.
I've gone all over the shop with the scorecasts. My first thought, Welbeck to score first, 4-0 Brighton, 66-1.
No.
Exactly what Jack said is we'll score first and lose. So Strand Larsen, first goal, 2-1 Brighton, 85-1.
Possible.
A 1-0 Wolves, shithouse Cunha to get the goal, 85-1.
I'm backing that.
And one that I didn't mind, because 8 Nori's been getting forward if we play 5 at the back. 8 Nori first goal, 2-1 Wolves, 200-1.
Well, I'm backing that as well.
Big odds, aren't they? That's incredible.
And then an even better one, which I really like the sound of. So a little bet builder. So bear with me. Wolves to win the game. Lamina to commit 2 or more fouls. Gomez to get a card. João Gomez, that is, obviously. And Strand Larsen to either score or assist. 55-1.
Oh, that's good value. I like that.
Will he be fit enough?
Excuse me?
Will Strand Larsen be fit enough to get a goal and assist?
It depends what stage of the game it is. Any more for any more?
What's just the win playlist? Sorry. I don't know if you've got it in front of you.
Fours. You can get a little bit better than
Fours
from bookies.
This is incredible. Imagine like
50,
being
52 quid. 50 quid I'm having on that.
To be fair, I've genuinely been down to Brighton must be 5-6 times now, and I think I've only ever seen us win or get a point once.
Yeah.
We beat didn't we beat them in the championship with the Kelly jacket? 1-0.
1-0. I think that's the only one I've been to.
And the lad who scored the own goal for him that day was a lad who was from Wolverhampton. His name was Goldman or something. That's not a joke. That's genuinely true. He was on Boxing Day or something. It was around Christmas. That my memory, honestly.
Yeah.
Someone Google it. My memory is
no, we did. We beat them when we really didn't expect to at Christmas that one time. When they went up. Yeah, they won the league. Did they win the league easy or something?
And it's their centre half. He went on to play for like Rangers or Celtic, and he's from Wolverhampton. Like he's a Wolves fan, and he scored an own goal. I'll never forget it. But yeah, it was 0-0 last time we played them, so we've kept a clean sheet there recently.
We played them at 9
There we go.
times
That's the game I can't remember that I went to.
Yeah. That's the one Jack went to. We lost in the cup, didn't we, recently? 3-2, but could have been if Saab would have used his hands, would have won that game if he'd have decided to save some of their shots. There we go, Goldstone
from Goldstone. Very good.
Oh no, it's not.
No, that's no.
This a different
Goldman.
And we do have to say congratulations to Manny Singh, of course. He has been honoured at the Pride of Britain Awards. Raised an incredible amount of money for Dementia UK, £260,000 through sponsored walks, marathons, and selling samosas outside the ground. We would have seen it, Samosa Saturdays. So a big well done to Manny. An incredible effort all round. I mean, I don't know where you go. I just carry on, I suppose. Just carry on walking and
knighthood. Go for the knighthood.
And go for the knighthood. Yeah, that's next on the list. Excellent. Right, okay.
Sam, before you go, I've done some Googling. The last time we won at Brighton in the league, we won 1-0 and Sace scored. I think it was in lockdown.
Oh.
But I'm trying to find this one I was on about. What did I say his name was? Goldman.
Was it Brighton who played in lockdown where we were we 2-0? 3-3. Yeah.
Here we go. So Brighton slipped to their third straight home championship defeat after defender Connor Goldson own goal proved enough to give Wolves victory. That was the 1st of January 2016. My mind is I should be on Mastermind.
I remember definitely should. Yeah. So 8 years. Well, let's see if we can turn it. Best of luck if you are heading down to Brighton. Make sure you say hello to Jack and Bayliss, who will be down there with the fish and chips, not bothering with the game by all accounts. But yes, excellent. Right, we'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell, whose internet's clearly packed up. We'll say goodbye to Dan Bayliss.
Goodbye, everyone.
And Jack Williams.
Bye, everybody.
And it is a goodbye from me. Goodbye.